Hi everyone. We still have a few minutes before we start our mantra workshop, so I thought I'd jump on a little early and see who shows up. Hope you all are having a good day today. I'm going to turn this on my laptop so I can see if anybody comments. Hi April, welcome. Nice to see you, April. I can see your comments on my laptop to my left, so if there's anything you'd like to create in our mantra practice, let me know. Hi Veronica! Nice to see you. I know that you have a super busy day, so thanks for joining me. Veronica, meet April. The stars. Yes. Tell Jeremy that I'm wearing the funny shirt. This is so cool. See, I think can you all hear me okay? I'm trying out this really nice microphone for my phone. I'd love to know. Comment yes or no. Thanks, April. We'll just give it one more minute. April, where are you watching from right now? Oh, you're in Wilmington. That's great. Hey, neighbor. Veronica's joining us from Florence, South Carolina. All right. Well, welcome. This is our mantra workshop and how to create a mantra practice. And I think we have one other person joining us. I can't see who it is. Hi, Andrea from Atlanta. Nice to see you. What up, ATL? Well, welcome everybody. My name is Noelle Whittington, and I am an ERYT 500 yoga instructor based in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I've been teaching yoga full-time since 2007. And I have a background in Anusara yoga, in Kunga yoga, and my mantra teaching comes from a love of music and a love of sound vibration and a love of Sanskrit. So, hi Nikki. Mantra has become something to just simply enhance the practice and to make the yoga so much richer. And in fact, it's one of the ways that we can practice yoga. So my teacher, Thomas Ashley Ferrand, and you can find his resources all over the internet, and I can highly recommend all of his books. He's also known as Namadeva, would say that mantra is a tool of the mind to transcend the mind. So it's, in essence, our ability to acknowledge the awesome power of the mind and to use that energy to be directed to a particular point or a particular quality. And often mantra is chanted in Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is a beautiful vibrational language. It's an energetic language, or the language of the gods. And what the beautiful thing about Sanskrit is that we don't have to know what it means in order for it to work. The idea is that we are all created of vibration, of energy, and that comes together in the body, mind, and spirit body that we are, in our doshic makeup, as we would learn from Ayurveda. We're made up of the 5 great elements of nature, or the Panchamahabhuta, the tattvas. And so because we're made of energy, we are affected by energy, and we can use our body and our mind and the power of pranayama, which is to control or to harness the power of energy through breath. So chanting is just another way to practice our breathing, right? It's a practice of pranayama. And mantra can be, it can be chanted silently. You can do a mantra japa practice silently with your mala beads. And so I'll give us an opportunity to do that as well, and I'll keep time with my mala beads. These are 108 beads, sacred beads that you run through the fingers of your right hand. And some teachers would say that we leave out the index finger because it has a lot of energy in it. So I'm using the middle finger and the ring finger to start at what they call the guru bead, and sometimes it's a tassel, but my friend and fellow teacher Tiffany Pearson from the mainline Philly area restrung this for me, and she made a sweet little seashell with a rudraksha seed in it. And Tiffany, if you're watching this, thank you so much. This is a part of my everyday practice. Thank you. Tiffany saved the day when my mantra, my mala beads broke. So you run it through your fingers over and over and over again. And a mantra is also just a series of sounds that creates a certain effect. So it could be whatever language you're comfortable in. It could be an affirmation. It could be a prayer. It could be a series of Sanskrit syllables. It could be in any language that makes sense to you. And because we are honoring the quality of the mind that is to run, you know, I think it's hard for a lot of us, including myself, just to simply sit and be still. I need an activity to move the energy and shift it so that then I can sit comfortably and try and create space between the thoughts. So japa mala is one of those ways, and japa mala could be chanted silently in your mind, or you could repeat it out loud. Okay. My teachers would say that silent practice is one of the most powerful and effective ways of chanting, because you're speaking directly to source or God or universe or whatever language you're comfortable in. And so that can be a practice that is super powerful, but also kind of secret. You can do it anywhere. You don't necessarily even need to use the beads. So my friend Garish taught me this. On your hand, there's little sections. And if you touch your thumb to each one of the sections of your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, if you go around your hand 9 times, that's 108. And this practice works even if you don't necessarily use the sacred number. And it, for me, helps me to focus my mind. So it's deep concentration, or dharana, which is one of the 8 limbs of the practice of yoga. So concentration and mindfulness practices lead to the state of meditation. So dharana leads to dhyana. So chanting and mantra, whether you're using a harmonium, whether you're using your mala beads or your hands, whether you're speaking words or whether you're silently saying them over and over in your mind, will have particular effects. And so when we can use that as a tool for our practice, we're not only focusing the mind on a quality that we already possess or that we wish to remember, because a lot of these yoga practices are just unifying what we have forgotten, bringing back into focus and alignment what has been forgotten. We forget that we're love. We forget how powerful we are. We forget that we have the ability to control our reactions to things that happen in our lives and that we have tools for this. So, hi Angie, nice to see you. When we create a mantra practice, it's simply about playing around with different techniques. So learning different ways that we can try it so that we might actually do it. Because as Krishna Das says, if you don't do it, nothing happens. So when we can learn the different techniques, we can try them out and notice how they feel, and so that the more that we actually practice them, consistency breeds results. So that's helpful when we actually do it. So if someone taught you that meditation is simply sitting still in lotus position with your palms open and your eyes closed and you're not allowed to think about anything, that's not really setting yourself up for success. So mantra, just like any other practice, lifting weights at the gym, running a marathon like Veronica, or singing, it's something that you have to work into. It's something that you have to build up to. So find something that serves you and try to stick to it. When we create a mantra practice, like a meditation practice, consistency is helpful. So one of the first things that I do every single morning is when I realize that I'm awake, sometimes I have to bring my mind back to it. I'm still laying in my bed and I pull it back to thank you. And sometimes it's thank you, God, for this life. Thank you, Goddess, for my body and my energy and my inspiration and my creativity. Thank you for all the love that I have in my life and my infinite blessings. Please offer me more where that came from. I'm worthy of love. I'm deserving of success. Allow me to do the will of the highest good through this body and through my mind and through these practices. May I be of service to all. Something like that. So any way that you can start off your day with a particular mantra like that. So that would be like a prayer or an affirmation or an offering, something that brings you back. And one thing I've adopted through the times in my life where it's been really difficult, sometimes I've had times where the only thing that I could be grateful for was the fact that I was alive and breathing. And, honestly, sometimes that doesn't really even feel like a blessing when you're really in pain. But that's when you need the practices the most. So start your day with something that reminds you that life can be good, that our body can be a resource tool for peace and for ease, and that we have the power to transmute anything that we're going through to exactly what we would like to be involved in, exactly what we would like to feel. And if anything else, we can find healing through service to others and helping others find peace and ease. So a lot of you that are watching this are probably yoga practitioners or yoga teachers, and mantra practice can be a tool that you can share with your students, because like breathing, it's something that doesn't necessarily require a lot of physical fitness. So it's been something that I could do consistently wherever I am. So we start the day with gratitude, and then perhaps we do any meditation practice, mantra or otherwise. You can start with 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you have. Like anybody can set their alarm 5 minutes earlier in the day, and you can just repeat a phrase to yourself a few times in your mind. You can use your hand. One of my favorite mantra techniques is to just touch the thumb to each finger pad, and you could do something simple like truth is my name broken into syllables: sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, na ma. Truth is my name. Truth is my identity. And you're creating this rhythm, sata na ma, with each one of the fingers, maybe on each hand, maybe just on one hand, and maybe you haven't even gotten out of bed yet, but you're training the mind while it's fresh after we've woken up, before you go into service, before you start taking care of your family, before you even get out of bed, to set your mind right. And I'm going to sneeze here in a minute. Excuse me, I apologize. So, Satanama, truth is my name, truth is my identity. It's also a beautiful greeting and acknowledgement that comes from the Kundalini practice of yoga. So Satnam is a lot like Namaste. It means I recognize the truth within you because I see that within me. We are a mirror to one another. Okay? 10 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the morning, and then maybe 5 or 10, or better yet, 20 in the afternoon. Bless you, Andrea. Namaste. I love being able to see the comments over here on my laptop that's on my invisible bed that you can't see. Oh, and behind me is my altar. And on my altar I have pictures of my teachers and my teachers' teachers, and there's a Hanuman Murti, and we'll get into Hanuman here in a moment. So they say that it takes about 20 minutes of concentrated effort for the mind to shift and for the body to start to relax. So if you can do a 20-minute practice and you can work up to that, then that's great. But I think every little bit helps. I think even the times where we can just take one simple deep breath, let's all do that together. Just take a deep breath. Just changes everything. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. If you can be gentle with yourself and give yourself the gift of grace and know that this is a practice, it's perhaps challenging, and that's why we're doing it, is so that we can work up these muscles of consistency to create peace and ease, and to transmute anything that we're going through to the qualities that we already are and that which we wish to achieve in our lives. So mantras can be great tools for not only connecting with the parasympathetic nervous system or the relaxation response, but also we can start to tune in to qualities. And this for me is where the names of the deities come in, the divine beings. So I'm a student of yogic philosophy, and specifically the orthodox and unorthodox schools of Hinduism called the darshans, and then the unorthodox schools of Buddhism and Jainism. And what I've learned from that is that within Hinduism there is a Trimurti, which is, as Thomas Ashley Ferrand would say, the deity that represents this certain particular divine quality, but also the anthropomorphized principle of that quality as well. And so the Trimurti are deities, both masculine and feminine energy, and the masculine energy represents consciousness itself, that which is without form, that which does not change, that which you can count on and is consistent because it's beyond energy. Okay, and then we have, so that's the masculine aspect, also known as Purusha in certain texts. And then we have Prakriti, or energy in all of its manifestations, and that's the feminine energy aspect of ourselves and life itself. And that is energy in all of its manifestations, meaning that it's constantly changing and fluctuating and growing and ascending and descending and contracting and expanding, and all of the things that we get to experience in these bodies and in this life and through relationships with one another. And the masculine and the feminine, not gender related at all, need each other, because consciousness would have no experience if it were not for Shakti, the feminine, Ma. And that is a tantric perspective that we can achieve all of the lessons and all of the beauty and all of the enlightenment and then experience liberation in these bodies in this lifetime. Okay, we had the traditionalists or the verticalists, if you will, that wanted to transcend this physical experience and go up and out as quickly as possible and just merge with the divine. The body was seen as a source of suffering, of limitation, because the body ended but the soul didn't. So if we could just leave behind this body, then we could be closer and closer and closer to God and not have to go through the process of reincarnation and being born into different bodies to learn the lessons of karma that we were destined for. Now, Tantra, the more modern perspective of yoga, is the idea that we can acknowledge energy in all of its manifestations in all of the fluctuations of life and of the mind and of the body. And by acknowledging this and accepting our mind runs and our body has certain needs, we can actually use those as practices and as rituals and as offerings to find liberation, okay, and to find joy and love. You know, I think equal parts relationships are the most rewarding thing about being in these bodies in this life, but then also the hardest and I think highest spiritual practice. There's definitely been times in my life where I've wanted to go and just be a monk and not have to deal with the human stuff, because it can bring up a lot of our pain and our trauma, and that's hard to acknowledge. So these can be practices to deal with that. And that's all a part of acknowledging the feminine energetic aspect of ourselves, as well as the masculine, that which is beyond the body and the mind and energy itself. Okay, so we have the creation principle, which are the names Brahma and Saraswati. And we have the preservation principle, which are the deities Vishnu and Lakshmi. And we have the transformation or destruction principle, which is Shiva and Shakti. And as I've learned, the destruction or the destroyer is not such a great name for Shiva, because it's not destroying something in terms of just like wiping it out and not putting anything back. It's rather the transformative aspect of destroying sorrow, of walking through the fire of our experience and dancing through it. Like sometimes you see Shiva Nataraj, the Murti, that's just his dreads are flying and his arms are dancing and moving, and it's consciousness powered by Shakti. It's the masculine and the feminine in this cosmic dance called the Tandava, just pure ecstasy when we're fully realized. Ooh, it's beautiful. It gives me goosebumps. Now is probably a good time to put on my little shawl. I like to, as my grandma taught me, to dress up for God, as it were. So it's nice to just put something over your shoulders and to cover yourself up for a mantra practice that includes the divine names, because, you know, probably wouldn't go into my grandparents' Southern Baptist church in this particular yoga top, right? So our bodies are beautiful, but also we can respect everyone as well. So that's just sort of a little side note. And also I'm cold, so it's helpful. Outside you can't see it, but it's thundering and the sky is starting to get dark, so it's super cozy and cosmic in here. So thank you for joining me. So we have these principles, the Trimurti, and that gives us the framework for a lot of the different divine qualities that exist within ourselves, which is, I think, one of the great ways that we can create a mantra practice if you identify with that. Oh, and Rebecca is here. Hello, Dharma Drops Mama. Nice to see you. So these divine qualities, for me, I was so drawn to the vibrations of Sanskrit mantra that when I went to yoga classes earlier on, 15 years ago, 20 years ago or something like that, I didn't know anything about yoga. All I knew was how some of the music was making me feel. And that led me to teaching myself on the side. Even before I had gone to a yoga teacher training, I tried to seek out what I thought I was hearing on the stereo. So like a lot of you that are interested in mantra and chant and sacred music, one of my first realizations or forays or introductions into that was Deva Premal. And so I love Deva Premal. If Deva Premal ever were to watch this, thank you for offering a platform and an introduction to mantra for so many people. Thank you. So I would listen to the music and I would try to phonetically sort of sound out what I thought I was hearing. And in that, I would look up what I thought it was. And I probably wasn't getting it right, but I was listening to other pieces of music, or I was learning other mantras. And because I was being guided for the first time, I was listening to the callings of my heart and the stirrings of my soul, I was able to learn more. And if you're interested in kind of my personal journey into it, our podcast number 25 on the Dharma Drops podcast, called The Professor and the Woo Woo, because Rebecca and I are both woo woo and professor, like at the same time, in weirdly similar ways. I think you'll find it funny. So check that episode out. So music led me into the practice of mantra. And so if you're like me, I would invite you to go and listen to different types of sacred music. Look up kirtan, look up chant, look up sacred music. And, thanks, Rebecca. I put on earrings just for you, just for all of you. Rebecca said I look beautiful, and that's so nice. Thank you so much. It's very sweet. So find music that you like, and then that will lead you to the qualities of voices that are helpful, because once you start listening to people's music, they become your teacher. And listen to the feelings of either yum or yuck in the body. And I got that cute little analogy from the Deepak Chopra's website, Chopra Center. I was looking up information about Ayurveda because I like to recommend one of their Ayurveda quizzes for my teacher trainings. And on the website, Chopra wrote that the body sends signals of either yum or yuck. And voices do that too. And we're drawn to that which we already are from an Ayurvedic perspective, like attracts like. So I was drawn to lower tones and to more sacred tones. And I identified more with the kind of Western infusion of more traditional mantra, of Sanskrit mantra specifically. I didn't identify so much with my grandparents shared a lot of still really beautiful Christian music with me when I was growing up, and I didn't identify with that so much because I had had the experience of being afraid of God. Like maybe if I did certain things in my culture, I'm talking about in my own experience. I don't feel this way now, but I felt like I needed to do certain things to please God, and if I didn't please God, then I wouldn't get into heaven, or I wouldn't be taken care of, or I was supposed to be afraid of God. But then all of the questions that I had and questions that I wanted to be answered weren't answered, and I was just told that I was supposed to believe this way, and I was often ostracized for having those questions in the first place, and it didn't make sense to me. So this music and these names, learning about these divine qualities, led me back to my own interpretation of faith, and now I can say the word God and even sing about God from all of these different cultures, and I feel only more connection to myself. So I think that's one of the beautiful practices of mantra for me personally, is that it is not a religious-based practice. Yes, the yoga tradition has its roots in the orthodox and unorthodox schools of ancient Vedic thought. However, all of these practices just simply enhance your own belief system. I like to say that when we use our voice, whether it's humming or for breathing or for singing or speaking, we're just creating sound vibration that becomes a vehicle for our intention, and it gets delivered. It's a piece of our heart that we're sharing with somebody. So words are really powerful, and vibrations are really powerful, and we can choose to use the power of words or of vibrations to create more good, or we can choose to ruminate on those limiting words or vibrations that keep us down. So let's find music that we feel drawn to. Let's listen to certain particular qualities of voices that we like. Let's seek out teachers. I would love to help you. If you want to contact me directly, we can create a mantra practice together. I can help you learn how to chant. And through my studies with Thomas Ashley Ferrand, I have learned what different qualities are invoked by using certain divine names or certain words. So the important thing to remember is that you don't need any teacher. This practice helps us remember that our soul is the teacher. And that's one of my favorite mantras, is that one of the translations is God is the only real teacher, Harion Tat Sat, or that is the truth, or our soul is the truth. Hari is a divine name that means the remover of illusion, but it also means to be carried away. So we're being carried back to ourselves. And Om is the seed sound for the crown chakra, the Sahasrara at the very top of the head, our divine connection. Like if divine energy could be poured into us as if we were some sort of electronic device, this is where the charger would plug in. Sahasrara, the crown. So Om is the seed sound, or the Bij mantra, the essence of union and communion and cosmic peace and love itself. Om is the connector. Om is the thing that we say before we're going to speak to the divine. That's why a lot of the Sanskrit mantras say Om and then the mantra, because Om is, may I offer this, may I speak, or you're turning the radio on. Anybody remember the radio? You turn the radio on to the channel of abundance, Lakshmi. You turn the radio on to the channel of strength and humility and devotion, Hanuman. You turn the channel on to sweetness and beauty and divine speech and Saraswati and creativity. So all of these names and these words and these mantras mean something great in their whole sentence or offering form, but then each syllable means something different. So we can thread together like a sutra. We can string together these beautiful syllables to create whatever we like. And you can do this with English, you can do this with Spanish, you can do this with French, you can do this with simple sounds, and you can think about something in your mind. So let's say that maybe right now I want to feel loved. The Sanskrit word for love, and by the way, there are over 100 Sanskrit words for love. Isn't that great? That's why I love Sanskrit. But love, or divine love, is prema. Prema. So I could either think or say love, and I could either think or say prema, and over again, anything that you repeat, whether it's a movement or whether it's a thought or whether it's a breath, starts to create a trance-like state in the mind. So the mind moves away from its thinking and analyzing space to the absorption and eventually to the surrender, where we have all of this open space. We have let go of our attachment and identification to the little hamster wheel that's going on in there, and we've moved all of this activity down into the body and into the heart. The heart is where universal love resides, the anahata, the unstruck or unhurt, meaning that nothing that ever happens to us, nothing that we ever do or say can ever diminish our spirit and our love. Our hridaya, our spiritual heart, is strong and it can never be depleted. That's what unstruck and unhurt means, anahata, unconditional love. So this heart connects with our divinity through the crown chakra. And when I say divinity, I just mean our soul, our highest teacher, our highest self, S with a capital S, yes. And then this, the third eye, ajna or anya chakra, is messages from our intuition. So this the information, the energy comes in from our soul. It's processed into things that we can understand with our feelings and emotions through the third eye. That's like the information processor, or the wisdom mind, or the buddhi mind. And then we get to speak it. Our throat, our neck, our ears, our mouth. This is our communication center, or Vishuddha chakra. So our soul connects with our heart, gets received by the mind through the practice of mantra. I just came up with that. That's exciting. So that's sort of my interpretation. As Rebecca would say, these are musings, not truths. Our experience is the filter through which we live our entire life. So I would just invite you to try some of this stuff and see what feels good for you. So, would you like to chant? I would like to chant. I can't hear what you're saying, but I'm just assuming that you're like, yes, let's chant. I can't wait. You've been talking for so long. Okay, let's do it. So I would love to chant with you a Ganesha mantra first. Traditionally, we offer our blessings to Ganesha first because he's known as Lord of the Threshold. Ganesha first, okay? Yes, Veronica wants to chant. All my devices are dying, so I'm going to be able to see your comments here for one more moment. So I'm assuming, yay. So Ganesha. So Ganesha is the elephant-headed deity, and Ganesha received his elephant head when consciousness itself merged with the physical body, meaning the body and the mind. That's a beautiful story for another time. Ganesha is the son of Shiva and Shakti, and Ganesha is the Lord of the Threshold because he guarded the threshold of Parvati, one of the many names of Shakti's doorstep, for no one to come in when she was having her self-care time. And when Shiva, wife of, or husband of Parvati, wanted entrance into the room where Parvati was having her bath, he was denied entry by Ganesha, who was doing his job. And Shiva didn't realize that Parvati wanted a little piece of Shiva and had made them a son while he was gone. And so Shiva said, "Who are you? This is my house. Chop it off." And so Parvati naturally wanted him to make it right. And so he found the first animal that he came upon that was facing in the correct direction, and it happened to be an elephant head. So the boy and the elephant head came together, and that represents our lower self merging with our higher self. And so now we begin. So, hi Stephanie, good to see you. Ganesha, these words are Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Ganapataye, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. So Ganapati is another name of Ganesha. And when we say Namaha, it means I bow to the developing principle within. Some of the mantras that we use are, if you're over 28 years of age, you say Swaha at the end, meaning that, and so it is, and so it has become. And then some things we're working on continuously and forever. And so we're bowing to Ganesha here, which is the removal of obstacles. And I think a little bit deeper, our willingness to see lessons in our lives, not so much as obstacles or things like, woe is me, I can't believe this is happening to me, but as, how can I take responsibility for what I'm experiencing? What can I learn from it? And how can I transmute it? Okay, so it could be an obstacle, but what if it's there to show you a different perspective, that something is out there that might be better for you? Who knows? So Jai Ganesha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Sing with me whenever you feel like it. So when we start an actual chant practice, I like to clear my throat. I like to make some weird noises. Yum. I've had a lot of sinus stuff lately. Deep breaths. Every time we exhale, we release stagnant energy, stale air, and we can release heat. It's often a good idea to have water or some hot tea or hot liquid next to you for chant practice so that you can stay hydrated. And when we breathe during our chant practice, we want to allow the belly to be soft because we use all 3 chambers of the lungs and we use a diaphragmatic breath. And for more vocal power, we try as we exhale or as we chant to keep the belly pressing outward, and it gives us more power. So let's begin just by setting our own personal intention for this practice. You're here for a reason. You might know what it is, or you might just ask to remain open, to ask for clarity. May we offer this practice to the benefit of all beings. May we bow at the feet of our teachers and our teachers' teachers and all who came before us. May we honor that which we are becoming and that which we already are with gratitude, honor, and respect as one. Let's do 3 rounds of Om together. Take a deep breath in. Practice, we do call and response. And the response is often asked with the word bolo, which is a Hindi word that means speak it, preach it, say it, or sing it. So I'll offer that, and I'll offer some space for us to chant. So I'll sing it with you since it's just me. Jai We bow to the removal of obstacles in our own path. Bow to our ability to see those as gifts and lessons and opportunities. Namaste. So I often like, after chanting, to just sit for a moment and notice the feeling of the sound being over. And that is just as powerful as the sound itself. So we learned that there are 4 syllables or sounds of Om. There's A, O, and then the silence after it. And the silence after Om is the space of infinite potential. In emptiness, anything is possible. So often it's just really powerful, I think, to sit for a minute and notice how you feel after that exertion. For me, I finally feel like I could probably attempt to sit still, and that is so powerful. So thank you for that. So that was our Ganesha mantra, and if you like any of these tunes, I can send them to you. And also I have a SoundCloud link on my website, which is narayanishakti.com, narayanishakti.com. And a lot of these mantras are on there, as well as their definitions are on my website under What is Kirtan as well. And you can always contact me if you forgot, or watch this video as many times as you want, thanks to our Dharma Drops community page. This will be available. You can share it with your friends. I'd love to keep connecting. So we have entered the threshold of our chant practice. And one thing, as I was preparing for this chant practice, as I was learning and remembering and reading my notes, I came across the phrase Hum Pat Swaha. Hum is a really powerful dispeller of negative energies, because it's, you may have heard the mantra So Hum, meaning I am that. And I am that with a capital T. I am all that. I am everything, nothing, and infinity. So Hum is that. It's the power of the cosmos and the entire universe itself. It's the power of union from consciousness itself and the purest energies. So hum is calling upon that, and then pat, P-H-A-T, is to cut it. So we bring everything into the forefront that we want to let go of, and then we cut everything that is unfulfilling or negative. Swaha means and so it is. So if you'd like, you can just simply repeat hum pat swaha, 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 as many times as you'd like. And that is for us to acknowledge that we have a shadow side, right? We do all have darkness. We all go through challenging things. We all have difficulties. And, you know, we're human beings. And thank goodness for that. Because if we weren't human, we'd have nothing to learn, and everything would just be easy and peaceful, and there'd be no spice, there'd be no excitement, if there were no perceived separation in our minds, then we wouldn't be able to look at one another and have this experience of learning from one another and connecting. So we do have negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions, but negative doesn't have to mean bad, okay? Let's stop being afraid of the negativity that we are all susceptible to. It just is an indicator. So in Ayurveda, we learn that there are certain things that we can look out for which help us to understand that we're out of balance. And those would be if our digestion is off, stopped, or way too much, if we're sleeping not enough or too much, or if it's erratic, if we're experiencing unfulfilling emotions like anger, anxiety, and depression, which are all just a particular overload of a quality of energy of one type, so that we can find a balance by bringing in the opposite. And of course, if we're sick or if we're injured. So let's look at negative emotions as messages from our soul. Like, okay, this is a yuck moment. This person scares me for some reason. How often have we been in a situation where we have been either encouraged or forced to like somebody, and we just don't, and we just can't? And how much guilt do you have over that? Let's throw that out. Hum pat swaha. It just means there's something in our own experience that is triggered by the energy of that other person, and that can be information. So is it helpful or is it toxic? Okay, that's only something that you can answer. So mantras are the light and the dark, because the mantras are all part of us learning from our own highest teacher, the guru within. Gu means darkness and ru means light. And the power of the guru principle is the remover of darkness, meaning that we have to see the darkness so that we can illuminate what we'd like to keep and how we want to move forward. So if we don't recognize these negative emotions and these negative places and these shadows and this darkness, it's going to keep coming up until we have no choice but to look at it. So let's recognize it. Let's say, hey, this doesn't feel good, or I don't like that, or maybe I'm being super judgmental to myself or to other people, or any pattern that's not really serving you. There's a reason. There's always a reason for everything, and that's what Ayurveda teaches us. What is the reason that we're having this issue in the first place? Let's get down to it. So mantra is a way for us to acknowledge that and to use that as energy fuel for our practice and for growth. Yay! So hum pat swaha. Hum pat swaha. And this is a mantra that you can just repeat to yourself, or you can say it out loud, or you can use your tools. You can use your mullah beads. You can use all of the joints of the fingers on your hand. 9 times around is 108. And I'm just remembering now that the first time I heard this mantra was from my very first and beloved teacher, Ashley Ludman. So Ashley, if you're watching this, I remember you saying this mantra, and it just felt so powerful. It felt like a shamanic moment. Like, this was early on. This was probably in like I don't know, maybe 2007 or something. And Ashley Ludman, if you don't know her, is this incredibly powerful teacher. She's a breathwork facilitator, and she is an author. You can check her out, ashleyludman.com. And I remember being in the Anusara studio that she created called Seaside Yoga. I don't know if any of you in Wilmington remember Seaside, but that was my yoga home. And Ashley is one of the main reasons why I'm teaching yoga today, is because she listened and she gave me a chance and she believed in me. So when I heard her say Hum Pat Swaha, it was like, whoa, something really powerful is happening, and it's giving me goosebumps right now actually just thinking about it. So that is an example of a mantra that you can just simply speak. Mantras, when you're chanting, they can be of spoken word. You can just simply say them. There are Vedic mantras where, and you could argue that every single mantra has its roots in Vedic cultures, because that's where all of the yogic mantras came from to a certain extent. So, I mean, and some of the mantras even predate the Vedas and into the goddess traditions, but that's a whole nother, I almost said podcast. We're not doing a podcast. Webinar? Yes, wherever we're here. So you can chant something in a Vedic way, and it's a very monotone form of chanting. And the teachers of the Vedas, the teacher would speak something in a very particular rhythm or tala, and they would accompany that with precise head movements and hand gestures. So it would be kind of a wobbly head sort of situation. My teacher Douglas Brooks said his teacher taught him like this. He would actually grab him by the head and help him do the head movements, and then very particular hand gestures. And I don't know the mudras, but mudra means gesture, and mudra is another way that we can embody the qualities of these sacred ancient teachings. So that is to say that even how you place your hands in your yoga practice is powerful. The Ashtanga Vinyasa practice does not use mudras, and the energy is contained in the body. The thumb and the fingers come together, and I call it blade of grass hands, and it's a very precise, contained, energetic experience. Whereas if you use mudras, or if you spread your fingers out, it would have a particular quality, right? So just acknowledge how you feel when you do all of these things. So a Vedic mantra sound would be something like this. And I'm going to chant for you the great death conquering mantra. It's called the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra, and it's used for celebration of transition. It's said to remove the fear of death, or even to remove us from the clutches of death in some cases. But it's also used in the yogic philosophy terms. Death is not an end. It's not being destroyed. It's transformation and moving into our next phase. And if you think about the practice of asana yoga, there's shavasana at the end of the practice, and that means corpse pose, because that's the death of our practice, where we're assimilating everything that we've done in that whole practice, and we're allowing that to become who we are, so that when we move off of the mat and into the world, we're this new, more authentic person that's more like ourselves than we've ever been. Okay. So the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra is Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orva Rukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshya Mamritat. May we be removed from disaster and calamity, even as the cucumber is plucked easily from its roots. And I honor you, Shiva, Maheshvara, the principle of transformation and destruction, as the remover of sorrow. And this is my interpretation. So teachers out there, please feel free to contact me and teach me, help me. So it sounds something like this. Rich or Mukshya 2 o'clock, I'd love for us to do one more chant if we can. I didn't really get a time limit on this podcast. Rebecca, if you're still watching, if there's something else that you have to do, please let me know. I'd love to share with you a Saraswati mantra. And Saraswati is the divine consort of Brahma. So Saraswati and Brahma are the principle and quality of creation. And creation for Brahma would be spirit and consciousness itself. And Saraswati would be creativity, birthing beauty through creative projects, divine speech, wisdom and learning, and the shared experience of the flow of creativity. So these words are Om, Aim, and Aim is the seed sound or the Bij mantra of Saraswati. So Bij mantras or seed sounds can be the purest essence of perhaps a chakra, an energy center. They can be the purest, most powerful essence of the deity or the principle that that deity represents. So in this case, Aim is creativity, wisdom, learning, the flow of inspiration itself. Saraswati is another name for a river in India, and divine speech. So Saraswati is, to me, the essence of our willingness to recognize that we have such beauty and such creativity, we have such gifts to share, and we're the only one damming it up. We're the only one that is the dam. We're standing in the way of the flow of our own creativity, and if we just stepped out of the way and stopped worrying about whether we were going to do it wrong or offend somebody or what other people were going to say or how we would think or even how we're going to support ourselves, we will be supported. And I'm reminding myself of that too, like constantly. So Saraswati. Om Aim Saraswatiye Swaha. And I'm using Saraswati at the end of the line because I am over 28 years of age. I'm actually going to be 40 in December, and I'm so excited about it. I feel like my soul is catching up to my body. I'm really looking forward to it. And Thomas Ashley Ferran, my teacher, would say that before 28 years of age, we use Namaha because we bow to the developing principle. And on his website, sanskritmantra.com, you can learn about the different ways that you would use Namaha and Swaha. And there are certain mantras that always use Namaha regardless of age because we are just honoring that which is. And then Swaha is, in this case, for Saraswati, it is creativity embodied. Our gifts have been revealed. So those of you that are under 28, you could use Namaha if you wanted to, but I don't think that it would hurt anything. It would just be, in your case, if you're under 28, my suggestion would be to visualize the god or goddess that you wish to be, that maybe your dog sees you as, if you have a dog, like the way that your dog sees you, like this superhero, this beautiful human that can do no wrong and is so incredibly abundant and powerful and amazing and gorgeous and smart and all of the things. And hopefully you have someone in your life that looks at you the way a dog would. And if you are, you're lucky. So Om Aim Saraswatiye Swaha. And then there's also Jema. Jema is victory to Mother Nature, victory to energy in all of its manifestations in all forms, its ever-changing, dynamic, creative flow. Ma, the goddess, feminine energy, fluidity, softness, receptivity, creativity, abundance, transformation, beauty, commitment, union, all of the things that we can experience with these bodies and in this life and in nature is because of Ma. And my teacher Douglas Brooks would say that Ma, or the goddess principle, is recursive. She creates herself from herself. She doesn't need any outside force to be. And that's us. We don't need anything except for what we have in here. I'll just leave it at that. We'll do this one, call and response. So call and response traditionally was when the teacher would say or call the first line, and it would be to get the rhythm and the sound and the pitch and the tone, so that then the student could learn it by repeating what they thought they heard the teacher say. And nothing was written down for thousands of years, so it was literally all about what we thought we heard. And Douglas Brooks would say that these mantras are karnam karat karoti. The teachings come from ear to ear. So it's not what it's supposed to be or what we think it is, but it is literally what we have heard. It's our experience that is the truth, not what someone else tells us. Ooh. Let's come together for Om. Take a deep breath in. Saraswati Swaha.
Ma. Whenever I chant Ma, I like to touch the floor with my right hand and then bring it up to my third eye, because I know that wisdom comes from nature and is my true nature. Namaste. So I'd love nothing more than to just stay here with you all day. I get to go and teach a yoga class. By the way, yoga teachers, see how I just said I get to teach a yoga class? So that's neuro-linguistic programming, which is, I think, another form of mantra. If I said something like, I can't stay with you guys because I have to go teach another yoga class. First of all, poor me, because someone has decided that they're going to pay me to teach yoga. Like, how amazing is that? Even when I'm tired, I remember that. And so when I say I get to teach yoga, it reminds me that, number one, everything that I do is my choice. Okay, I'm creating my life. And number two, that I'm grateful. And number three, yes, universe, give me more where that came from. Bring it all on. You know, mantra helps us to recognize that we are creating our own experience moment to moment, and we can take that and turn it into everything that we evolve into. You know, we don't have to be stuck in one way. We're not just one thing. We're constantly changing energies. So to review, mantra is a tool of the mind to transform the mind, as Thomas Ashley Ferran, my teacher, would say. We can chant mantras silently. We can chant mantras out loud. We can use the tools like mala beads, or like the thumb and fingers of our own hand to count out the mantra in our mind silently or out loud. And a mantra can be a particular sound over and over again. It can just simply be humming. It could be an English phrase. It could be more like an affirmation, which is like, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am rich, I am abundant, I am healthy. It could be goal-oriented, like, I am a homeowner, I am a happy homeowner, I easily provide for myself, money flows to me with grace and ease. It could be something that is a sacred phrase in any culture. It could be a particular song. And a mantra can also be a quality of energy that we're subjecting ourselves to. Now, this is controversial, and I don't know if my teachers would necessarily agree with me, but I think that reality television shows that are focused on judgment and oppression and being of a certain caste of people that are therefore deemed worthy because they have money, or a judgmental TV show, or certain news sources, or horror movies, or things like that. I think that we're ingesting that toxic energy, and that is changing how we feel. So when we're kind of numb to it, then we don't have access to that beautiful feeler system of emotion and sensitivity that is guiding us to get to know ourselves better. So just notice how you feel. Like the Chopra Center website says, is it yum in my body, or is it yuck in my body? and that will help to guide you to the qualities of mantra and sound and music that you like. And you can find your teachers in certain sacred texts, or in certain mantra songs, or in somebody's music, or in somebody's writings, or in creating your own thing yourself. But please be consistent with it. At least 5 minutes in the morning, minimum. And if you can do that twice a day, that's great. But everybody can set their alarm for like 5 minutes before and just say thank you over and over again in their head before their feet touch the floor. Everybody can do that. And when you chant mantra out loud, it's pranayama. So that's a way for us to express ourselves. So if we're someone who's soft-spoken, or if we feel a little bit insecure or a little shy, or if we're working on our self-worth issues, then chanting is going to be the thing that will help us to speak up for what we believe in and help us to learn to ask for our needs. And when somebody says no, we won't internalize it and say, they're not meeting my need because I'm not worthy of that need. They're just meeting their own needs, and I honor and support them, and sometimes love them from afar if that's what it has to be. So thank you for listening. Again, my name is Noelle Whittington. I am a full-time yoga teacher, mentor for yoga teacher. I teach yoga teacher trainings and workshops and retreats. I'd love to help you create your own mantra practice. I'd love for you to come chant with me. My next kirtan is at Terra Soul Sanctuary on November 30th in Wilmington, North Carolina from 5 to 7 p.m. And you can find all the information about everything on my Narayani Shakti Facebook page. So we're on Facebook, so I'll mention that platform first. You can find my website, the same name, narayanishakti.com. So many blessings to all of you. Thank you. You're a blessing to me for listening to me. Video and live video and just being on camera in general is an edge for me. So thank you for helping me grow. And I bow to you. Namaste. See you soon.